LEGO Star Wars 2025 sets are right around the corner, so let's break down everything we know so far. With the January wave, we have such a good lineup in front of us. Starting off with set 75401, we have Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor. It's going to have 290 pieces, $45, and the minifigures are going to be Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, and R7A4. This set is very overpriced for that $45 price point, and the size of it should be similar to other Jedi Interceptors that we've seen in the past. So it is overpriced. People are complaining about that, but you know what? We can only hope that it's a good model for the price that we have. It stinks to see that it feels like LEGO Star Wars is getting the short end of the stick when it comes to pricing on some sets, but you know what? That's the way things have been in LEGO Star Wars now, and that's how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. And while I'm someone that doesn't necessarily believe that how many pieces come in a LEGO set should determine its cost, it is concerning to see a low piece count in a set that's going to be $45. I know that kind of goes back on what I just said, but we look at other Jedi Interceptors from the past, and with similar piece counts, it's going to be around the same size, and we look at the price of those compared to the price of this, and we also see the price of LEGO Star Wars sets compared to other themes. It just seems like this is blatantly overpriced, and it's really going to come down to your personal preference. Do you feel it's worth the money? But going off of the history of previous LEGO Star Wars sets, it really just seems that this is overpriced, but I still think it's going to be a phenomenal set. The next set is going to be set 75402, and that is an ARC-170 Starfighter, and it's going to include 497 pieces, cost $70, and the newest information on this set that we know are the minifigures. It's going to include Oddball, Captain Jag, a Phase 2 clone pilot, and R4P44, a phenomenal minifig selection. And already this set was one of the most hyped ones of 2025 with the limited amount of sets that we already know. So when you put these minifigs in here, this one is already a contender for top 3 sets of 2025, which is crazy being that at the time of recording this, we're not even in 2025 yet. And a little bit of history on the Astromech R4P44. This Astromech droid was assigned to Obi-Wan Kenobi's clone trooper force on Utapau, which is pretty cool that we're getting another awesome Astromech droid in a LEGO set. We've had a lot of cool Astromech droids recently, and LEGO was just adding to the fun with R4P44. 75403 Grogu in his pram will include 1,048 pieces and retail for $100. And obviously the minifigure in that set is going to be a Grogu in his pram, which is pretty cool. We have to keep a constant of having Mandalorian sets on shelves. No problem here. I love the Mandalorian show. I think Mando and Grogu and all the characters from the show and the upcoming movie are going to be awesome. I'm a huge fan of it, so LEGO knows that those sets sell really well. So obviously LEGO is going to try and put out as many LEGO Mandalorian sets as they can. So I'm all for it. Now we have both of the Starship Collection sets, or Midi-scale sets, whichever one you want to call them, with set 75404, the Acclimator, which will have 450 pieces and retail for $50, and set 75405, the Home 1 Mon Calamari Cruiser, which will have 559 pieces and retail for $70. Both of these sets came as a huge surprise to all of us, I feel. When we look at the Starship Collection, we have sets like the Home 1, which is right behind me. We have sets like the Millennium Falcon, the Tanta 4, a Super Star Destroyer. So I think a lot of us, definitely myself, expected something like an X-Wing this year, maybe a TIE Fighter or TIE Bomber, something along those lines, especially since LEGO always loves to have a TIE Fighter and X-Wing on shelves. And we had the UCS TIE Interceptor this past year, so it would just made sense in my opinion, or more likely to have a Venator midi-scale set. Because of the UCS Venator, these two midi-scale sets definitely came out of left field in my opinion. Two sets that I wouldn't have expected them to make as play-scale sets, UCS sets. I would love both of those to still happen. I think that they're more likely to happen now that we have them as a midi-scale set. So maybe LEGO feels, who knows, depending on how they sell, we'll make them in a bigger scale, or they feel they wouldn't have sold as well in a larger scale. So let's do it as the midi-scale and just go from there. Either way, I'm super excited for this. I love that line of sets. I think it's a great size. I think it's just a great line in general. Upset that they had to replace it with the helmet line, even though the helmet line could be coming back. Who knows? We will get to that in just a little bit. But let's go to set 7510, Mando's N1 Starfighter. It's going to include 92 pieces, retail for $30, and it's going to have Mando and Grogu in it. It's pretty standard right there. Nothing too shocking. We've already had a microfighter of this set. We've already had a playset of this set. So I guess what's next is a UCS version, which could happen in 2026, being that the Mando and Grogu movie will be releasing that year. That is my prediction for a UCS set in 2026, even though that has nothing to do with this video right now. But let's move on to what we know in the March and May release window so far, starting off with set 75399, which is unknown, and we don't know anything about it other than it's going to release for $80. Now, this could be another helmet set. Maybe it will be the third Midi-scale set. Maybe it will be a diorama set. Only time will tell. That's all we know right now. But if I were to take a guess, I would assume it would be a diorama set of some sort, just because we are retiring a bunch really soon here in just a few months. So I think LEGO wants to resupply some more dioramas on shelves, and this would be a perfect opportunity to do that right here, especially in that May window. A Revenge of the Sith diorama, perhaps. Set 75407 is going to be a buildable Star Wars logo. I know in the Marvel line, they will also be getting a buildable Marvel logo, but for the Star Wars logo, what we do know is that it will cost $80. We don't know the piece count, and we don't know if there's going to be any minifigs. I know there was a rumor that there could potentially be a George Lucas minifig coming with this set, but I feel that that wasn't really backed up by any information. That was more so, this is what we want, so it could happen, and it sort of led to people believing that there will be a minifig, but there was no evidence to back that up. I do think for $80, a buildable Star Wars logo is cool, but that is way overpriced. You need to give some minifigs in that set. Whether it's a George Lucas minifigure, which I'm on board with that. I would love that, but I think LEGO would go out here and give us a standard Luke Skywalker minifig and a standard Darth Vader minifig. I think that would be just as fine, even though we'd rather have a George Lucas minifig, because we get Luke and Vader in so many sets. Why not switch it up? Why not give us a minifig of the person who started all this, created Star Wars? That would be pretty absurd, selling a set for that much money and not including at least one minifigure. So I think there will be at least one. I think we're more likely to see a Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader rather than a George Lucas, but I will never say never, and I would much rather prefer George Lucas. Set 75408 is the set that I'm most interested about, just because it has the most mystery around it, and that is right now rumored to be a Jango Fett Helmet. Like I mentioned earlier, the helmet line was discontinued to be replaced by the Midi-scale / Starship Collection line, but now we are rumored to be getting a helmet brought back to us. And who knows, could this just be a one-off? Could they only be making 2 Midi-scale sets and 1 helmet per year, and then the following year 2 helmets, 1 Midi-scale set? We do not know that at the time, but a Jango Fett helmet is something that is wonderful if this is true. We don't know how many pieces it will include, but what we do know, it's going to retail between $70 and $80. I'd assume $80 just because the popularity behind Jango. It's Jango Fett after all. It will pair up really nicely with Boba Fett. LEGO, I'm sure, knows that, and I'm sure if they wanted to go to the upper end of the pricing for the $80, more than enough people, myself included, would easily go out and buy that on day one. Besides Jango Fett, there's so many other helmets that we would love to see. We have Bo-Katan, the Armorer, Paz Vizsla, you have Kylo Ren, just so many that we could see in the following years that I'm still very shocked they canceled the line, and I hope this Jango Fett helmet rumor is real. It seems like it's real. I believe that it's real. And this also leads me to the next set I want to bring up, which is the May UCS set, which we don't know anything about at the time, but we know it's going to be between $200 and $250. I'm going to guess it's going to be $240. The TIE Interceptor was $230, but they only included 1 minifig in that. While if they included a second minifig, it would be $240. But my theory for this set is that it's going to be a Slave 1. Now, the big question here is, will it be a Boba Fett Slave 1 or Jango Fett Slave 1? And I really don't know. I feel if it's a Boba Fett Slave 1, it will be $230, and it will just include a Boba Fett minifig. While if it's a $240 $240 set. I think it's going to include Jango Fett and a younger Boba Fett minifig. But if I were to take a guess right now, I would say they do a Jango Fett Slave One. It's been a while since we've had a Jango Fett Slave One. We've had a ton of Boba Fett sets these past few years. While Jango Fett, we haven't had anything regarding him in a while. I know that there's that rumor of the helmet coming out, and I think LEGO really wants to make sure that Jango Fett gets his love that he so deserves. So a Jango Fett Slave One does seem like it would make sense. That might be a little too much Jango Fett, having a Jango Fett helmet and a Slave One on shelves at the same time. I don't think too many people would mind. It would be an easy way for LEGO to throw in a Jango Fett minifig. So if I were to take a guess, I would say this would be $240 and a Jango Fett Slave One. And it would be awesome just because we have the Boba Fett Slave One UCS set. Why not be able to pair that up nicely with the Jango Fett one and get ourselves a brand new Jango Fett minifig? The final set on the list, and what could be the most overdue set, is set 75416, a buildable chopper that will retail for $100. And we don't have a piece count, but I would assume it would be something similar to the smaller $100 R2-D2 that we had this past year. So it feels like LEGO is going in a different direction with the buildable droids of trying to make them all in that similar $100 scale. They must have really liked what they saw from the sales of that set. Now, did that have anything to do with the exclusive Darth Malak minifig being in that set? I don't know how much that had to do with it. I'm sure it had to do a little bit with it, being that it's an awesome exclusive minifig. So there won't be one in the chopper, but fans have wanted the chopper for a while, myself included, so this is going to be such a cool set. I do think eventually there will be a larger UCS scale chopper to go nicely with the UCS R2-D2 from just a few years ago. So we will have to be on the lookout for that, and that could come in 2026 and beyond. I don't think that LEGO is in a rush to do that though, being with how the recent success, like I mentioned, of these smaller droids have been. Who knows exactly what we can expect with that. I think that a buildable chopper is awesome. I don't mind it being a scaled down version. I think that's fantastic. We needed a chopper and we're getting a chopper in this nice size. So I'm super thrilled with it. But let me know what you guys think about all these sets. What are you most excited for? Let me know your predictions for LEGO Star Wars in 2025, and I'll see you in the next one.